and good morning to all of us. This, I was told, is the message from the front lines. And I've been noting the previous speakers, and they've spoken about Professor Vakoin, you've spoken about jobs. Dr. Kariuki, you spoke about young people. My brother Anoa spoke about the ground, that this must reach the ground. And I think this is a really unique meeting because the young people you're speaking about are here in this room from Mukuru and elsewhere. And so the young people, you're not on they say that if you're not on the table, you're on the menu. But you must be glad that you're not on the menu, you're on the table, where your issues are being discussed, and I think that's really impressive. My brother, Engineer Festus Ngeno, Principal Secretary in the Ministry of State Department of Environment, CEO of GCA, Professor Vakoin, Dr. Kariuki, our very son here, who represents us ably at the FDB, Ambassador Anoa, our Deputy Head of Mission from Norway. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy to bring you greetings from Homa Bay. Homa Bay is on the shores of Lake Victoria. I didn't come alone. I have a team there of Grace, who's my CC for disaster, and Roslyn for health, and Professor Mok, who's our County Secretary and also a specialist in climate issues. I take this opportunity to sincerely thank the Global Center on Adaptation for organizing this 4th Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program Partnership Forum. May I also acknowledge the GCA Executive Board under the chairmanship of His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the 8th United Nations Secretary General, and commend the CEO, Professor Vakoin, for his leadership and for convening this forum as a place for partners to engage. Your passion was just, we were getting converted. If you were a preacher, we would leave here, all converted. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today as a representative of over 1 million people whose lives are deeply impacted by climate change. The people of my county, Homa Bay, one of the subnationals in Kenya, rely heavily on agriculture and fishing. However, unpredictable weather patterns, prolonged droughts, frequent floods, and erratic rainfall have made farming increasingly challenging. And this is not only in Homa Bay, this is across the country, this is across the continent. Our farmers, who have traditionally relied on the rhythms of the seasons, now find themselves at the mercy of extreme weather events. Frequent crop failure and loss of livestock due to climate-related events have resulted in growing insecurity and malnutrition in the county. And recently, we came together and mobilized resources and gave seeds to our farmers, cotton seeds, maize seeds, sorghum seeds. But at the end of the season, I think we are looking at very little coming out in return. This has led to increased poverty levels and heightened vulnerability among the population, making it difficult for communities to recover from these recurring disasters. Climate change has also taken toll on our water resources. My people who reside on the banks of the world's second largest lake, Namlolwe, Lake Victoria, in a cruel irony, must pay a premium for safe drinking water. The lake, a vital source of livelihood for many of our people, is experiencing fluctuations in water levels and declining fish populations. It's very, very difficult to tell, where the lake is going to reach. And in the year 2019, the lake levels rose to levels higher than only seen in 1962. So you can imagine how much of the population had actually inhabited areas that they would never imagine were part of the lake. And then the lake came back, and now it has recovered and continues to recover. And this recurs now more frequently. And Homa Bay sits on 80% of Kenya's Lake Victoria, borders Homa Bay. So we really face this challenge. Our rivers and streams, once reliable sources of water, are drying up or becoming more unpredictable. I have lost count of the number of days and hours I have spent leading our response to extreme weather events. In November 2023, tens of hundreds of people found themselves homeless due to flooding. And this wasn't only in Homa Bay. You remember these events that happened here in Kenya. Before they could recover in April this year, over 1,700 families in our county were again displaced by raging floods, and that killed over 10 of our people. And 10 was very few compared to what happened in Nakuru, for example, where we had several lives lost during these floods. Previously, we could respond to floods maybe once a year. So when we responded in November last year, we were within the same financial year, and we thought we were done with flooding. So imagine November, we put all our emergency funds there, and then April, again come back to the same situation. Our roads and bridges and buildings are being destroyed faster than we could build them. The cost of repairing and rebuilding this infrastructure is immense and leads to diverting of resources from other critical areas of development. You realize my deliberate use of present continuous tense in my remarks. This is because what I'm narrating to you has become more of a routine, thanks to the effects of climate change. I'm answerable to my people for these challenges. County and local governments are truly on the front line of responding to the climate crisis. We need help. So as we go to New York next week and the weeks after, we as local governments and counties are saying we are on the front line. We are trying our best within our means and resources to respond, but we are overwhelmed by the loss and damage that comes with these challenges. So when the Global Center on Adaptation came knocking with an offer to partner with the AAAP, I was only too happy to agree. What emerged was a partnership which we would use a truly participatory and innovative method called the locally led adaptation, where local people are at the center of designing and implementing climate adaptation solutions. As a leader, this is something I passionately believe in, people being at the heart of decision making. This is quickly becoming the gold standard approach of local planning. Together under this partnership, we will support vulnerable communities in Homa Bay, starting with those in informal settlements, to create people's adaptation plans. The plans will map and profile how climate change is impacting these vulnerable communities, particularly in the water and sanitation sector. For example, what do residents really experience as their greatest hardships? What do they see as the best solutions? This approach comes through the guidance of the GCA's Global Hub on local-led adaptation, a fantastic center of excellence and knowledge on local-led adaptation practices, which I would encourage you to explore. This is a partnership forum, and it will take many partners to realize the project. For example, the Akiba Mashinani Trust, who pioneered this people's adaptation approach here in Nairobi, in Mukuru, will bring their experience and know-how to Homa Bay. And our teams in Homa Bay have already come. They have visited Mukuru. The team from Mukuru, the Akiba Mashinani Trust, they have been to Homa Bay. And this is the kind of partnership and learning that we see helping us in dealing with adaptation. In a crisis, we must all come together. And I'm committed to supporting a whole society approach. Our local university, the Tom Mboya University, will support the planning process and is doing so, and will become a beacon of knowledge on this subject for the county. And I'm looking at a partnership between Tom Mboya, the University of Nairobi. You know, they say don't just say University of Nairobi. You must say the University of Nairobi. Otherwise, the alumni will chase you around town here, Bwana Chancellor. So I would like to thank the FDB, a co-partner with GCA in the AAAP. In our plan, we envisage that FDB will use their Kenya National Urban Water Supply and Sanitation Program to support implementation of the water-related adaptation solutions identified in our people's adaptation plans. And I would also like to mention the United Cities and Local Governments of Africa, UCLGA, an important part of the ecosystem, who helped to connect us help to connect Homa Bay with GCA. So we are looking at the programs that are already rolling with FDB in Homa Bay, and this is one of those programs that will really come in handy. And when we will be counting the billions that we will have brought in, this will be part of that, those billions that we will have brought in to support these programs in Homa Bay. GCA will also support detailed climate risk assessments for the areas that will be covered and support capacity building for the adaptation planning for government, non-government, academic stakeholders in the county. As you can see, it will take many partners and much more coordination to embrace this people's adaptation plan approach. But I consider truly worthwhile in empowering local communities in our response to climate change. In this way, local government partners such as county governments are leaders in locally led adaptation. And when local governments are the center of locally led adaptation and they bring the people, for example, in our county, this program does not end at the county level. We go to the villages. We talk to the villages in their clusters, and this is what truly becomes locally led. So in terms of the policy setup, we have already put together our policies. We have a climate change act. We have our climate change policy. We have set up a climate change fund. So at the local level and with our county assemblies, we also have a policy framework that is working towards this process. So with those many, many remarks, I'd like to say that from the front lines, we are calling for help. We are doing as much as we can ourselves. We are building partnerships. We thank the GCA for coming through. And what we'd like to message, let's have the people at the center. And I'm happy that the young people of Kenya are at the center of our locally led adaptation. Thank you very much. And God bless you.
Thank you so much, Excellency.